Now, plans to close up to 3,000 urban post offices across the UK are currently underway, part of a massive restructuring and modernisation programme by the Post Office Limited to be carried out by 2009. It's because of rising losses and fewer people using the network, apparently. Is it a good or bad thing to be happening? Well, joining me this morning, campaign manager John Culbert from the Communications Workers Union. Hello, John.
Morning, Richard.
So, you mentioned union. I guess you're against it then, are you?
Well, yes, we are, and we're not the only ones. We've formed a coalition of a number of social groups, Citizen Advice Bureau, the Countryside Alliance of all things, as well as other Age Concern, Sub-Postmasters Federation, to form a group that wants to really challenge the government on some of the issues that they want to see as a part of the restructuring of the post office network as a whole.
I mean, I don't really want to speak on their behalf, but why are the government making these post office closures?
Well, Royal Mail and the post office network have been in the spotlight for a number of years, and as you said there is a number of areas where it's loss-making. Post office network is one of those, unfortunately. So as a part of the whole review of Royal Mail Group post office network, there's now a current DTI consultation around how we see the future and how the future is going to be for the post office. One of those is the closure programme of around 2,500 to 3,000 post offices, and that includes rural and urban areas and urban deprived areas, which is a sort of new genre that they've brought in as a part of the equation.
So what's the most likely outlook? What's really going to happen? What will the future of our post offices be?
Our vision of the future of the post office is the actual shop front for government. The government have an obligation as that to actually start to put more work back into the post office network structure. We're talking about payments for the congestion charging in London. Why can't citizens pay their council tax across the post office? You know, it's ridiculous that you can't actually get your TV licence now paid at the post office. You have to go through the local shop and these sort of where you get your gas and your electric cards and things like that. There is no post office network in the world that actually makes money. Every post office network is subsidised by the government because it is their shop front.
So, I mean, you're saying you should put more services in. They're obviously cutting all the services and making them more available elsewhere. So who's right?
Well, we think we're right, obviously, but because we understand and we've known for many years that post offices, local sub-post offices are the heart of the community. It's places like Bletchley, when the franchise of the main post office there happened, there was a massive petition there. There was a number of events that happened outside. And it just carried on, and you can see from there how that sort of post office is started to gradually go downhill. Milton Keynes this year is celebrating its 40th anniversary. When I moved here 30 years ago, there was a Crown office in Stony Stratford, Wolverton, Bletchley, Newport Pagnell. Now we've only got one, which is in the city centre. So Milton Keynes is expanding and the post office is reducing their structure.
But then why do we need them if you can get everything elsewhere, online or in other service shops?
Because there are a number of people in society that don't have that facility, and we can't allow that to erode their own services. There are a number of areas where people that are infirm, disabled, and obviously people of economic disadvantage that don't have the facility of a computer or other facilities such as that and need a local post office.
So what's actually going to happen with the post? You know, there was a day when I can remember way back when I used to get post in the morning around about midday and, you know, an afternoon service. How many years ago was that?
Well, the whole issue of Royal Mail is currently in a massive influx. I mean, there is, you know, Royal Mail is the only, in Europe, the government, Postcom, the regulator for the UK, actually advanced deliberalisation 3 years far quicker than what hasn't happened in Europe. So we have this really strange anomaly where other countries can actually come into the UK and compete in the mail market, but unfortunately Royal Mail cannot go outside of the UK. This is causing a massive imbalance because other companies can come in and undercut Royal Mail, and as you've seen lately, there's a number of major blue chip companies that have taken the decision to change their mail provider to another company, and that's having a really major disproportionate effect on Royal Mail's finances.
I mean, what can we do? I mean, a lot of post offices have closed already, haven't they? I mean, I live in Aylesbury, and the post office in the high street is always heaving.
Yeah.
I mean, is that solely because there's not all the sub ones throughout the villages have closed or closing?
Partially, yeah. I mean, that was an effect of that closure programme about 2 or 3 years ago. That would happen again once these closures happen. The more pressure is put on the offices that are staying open. There's going to be a criteria around access closure. So basically, if you've got a number of post offices that are in a mile radius, then the government and the post office network will look at closing a number of those, so there's one in a mile's radius. But that mile, you know, could be inaccessible to quite a lot of people. Milton Keynes is quite a spatial place. You know, there's quite a bit of difference between one estate from the other. People in wheelchairs and that kind of thing, you know, will be totally disadvantaged. So, you know, I don't believe that the access to the post office and people using them is reducing. I think it's basically staying the same. It's just we would like to see more choice, diversity and product rather than closure. And
what can we do if we are against these closures? Is there anything we can do that will show, you know, our anger about the closures or whatever?
One part of the consultation that's ongoing is around the process of engagement with the communities, other people, providers and things like that, local businesses. Before, the actual consultation process has been a phony consultation where Postwatch, the overseeing body, consumer body, have basically had a sort of 3-week consultation process that basically didn't have any teeth. We want to see in the consultation in the government report a real robust consultation programme where people, citizens, local groups can actually feed into that and, you know, air their objections about why they don't want that to see. But in the meantime, obviously, the coalition that I spoke of earlier will be campaigning hard to keep certain post offices open where we can, where we think that there is a real need for that post office to stay open, and obviously by lobbying our members of parliament as well.
I mean, post office has got to make money, hasn't it? So why is, I mean, it's in a business to make money now. Why is it down to them to make sure, it's as though you wanted, some people want the post offices to be kept in the rural communities just for the community angle. Well, they've got to make money.
They have, but as I said before, there's no post office network across the world that actually makes money. Every one of them is subsidised by the government because, you know, it isn't a scope, it is a business, but at the same time you have to have certain elements in there that underpin the government's shop front. You know, we spend billions of pounds on financing the rail network, you know, Virgin's, the Silverlink and people like that. You know, government money's being poured into that. What we're asking is a fair share of government subsidy into the post office network because it is a community network. So
is this the end of a great British tradition we're now looking at?
No, I mean, we're going to fight, you know, tooth and nail for this, and so are the other groups, and, you know, we really want to see the post office network revived. It's a part of the Labour Party manifesto. It's something that we was able to get in there as a trade union, and we're hoping the government sees fit to actually put some real, you know, subsidy back into the post office network. But we're not asking just for money, we're asking for product, so that it becomes a product-based business.
So are you saying that the government, the country should take it back on and sort of, because it was privatised, I don't know how many years ago, you're saying it shouldn't have been privatised and it should?
It's not privatised, it's deliberalised. It basically...
Well, we don't know what the hell that means, do we?
It basically means that it's no longer a monopoly.
Right.
So other companies can come in and trade, whilst it's still in the government's hands. It's wholly owned by the government, so the public still own 100% the post office network and Royal Mail. That's where the problem lies, is the investment, because our shareholder is the government and our dividend comes from the public. So we have to make sure that sort of balance is right.
See, I didn't know that, but I'm thick. But I thought it was all total buyout, you know, and that it was the other poor little company trying to make the money that was doing the best they could.
No, I mean, companies such as TNT, Business Post and people like that are really coming prominent within the mail market. They're actually, you know, they're bigger concerns. TNT is the Dutch Post Office. It's a huge company. They're able to, at the minute, undercut Royal Mail for the price of a letter. But you know, take it from me, they don't want to deliver Granny's letter in you know, Stornoway. They want to deliver in-city mail that's basically easy to pick up, easy to sort, and then the irony of it is they then pay 13p to put it back into the Royal Mail system. So Royal Mail has to do all of this, but at the end of the day, they've still got to do the final mile. So what we're asking for is, you know, we need to have that on an even keel.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, John. We could go on for
Thank
hours.
you.